Hello everybody, it's Jen Scrapbena Creations. I'm back with another card making video for Scrapping for Less. Today I'm using Newtons Nook, Newtons Peeps, this really adorable spring and Easter stamp set, and I'm bringing in Echo Park Easter Wishes 6x6 paper pad for this card today. It has some really cute patterns in it. So I'm going to be using an Easter themed pattern paper as well as a plaid piece. So to start off, I'm going to start my coloring. I'm going to color up this kitty like the real Newton kitty cat, who is an orange cat. So I'm laying down my Y38 here, and I'm going to color in the entire little kitty using that color. This will saturate the paper, but it'll also give our little kitty here a nice orange undercoat. This will be the only time that I bring in that marker, and for the rest of the coloring I'll be using E18 as my darkest, E35 as my midtone, and my lightest, which I'm using right now, is the YR24. So I'm just marking with the YR24 where I want my shadows to be, and then I will go in with the darkest marker here. So this is the E18, and I'm just going back over those shadows. So there's lots of shadowing under his collar and around the basket. You want to make sure you're adding shadows wherever two images or two pieces of a body touch, because the area behind the other object will have a shadow. So actually, sorry, that was the E35 I was using. Here you can see that I'm bringing in the darkest marker, the E18, and you can see how this really darkens up those shadows. So you want to make sure that you're using the least amount of ink on your darkest shadow. And once you lay down the darkest color, then you can pull that out. So I'm doing that with the E35 here, and I'm trying to blend out that E18 as much as possible, but making sure to leave enough space for my lightest marker. Now around that basket where the chicks are, there's going to be a lot of shadows, so I've mostly colored that in with the E35. I'm just going to continue here to pull out that color, and now I'm going to bring in the YR24 and blend those out until we get a smooth blend and the color that we're going for. So you can see here that that Y38 that I used is really giving that nice orangey color to our little kitty here. So you can just ignore the other kitty up in the top right. I thought I might use both of them, but in the end I just used the one with the basket. That kitty is super adorable and can be used any time of the year with the little chicks on it. And I have my little kitties in the craft room. I don't know if you can hear them. Lila is playing. She's biting a shipping box, actually. I probably should have taken that out before I started this video, but it's pretty fitting that they're in the craft room with me as I create this kitty card. So once I got our little kitty colored up, I'm going to do the chicks, and I'm using a 4-color blend for that. I'm using from darkest to lightest, Y17, Y15, Y13, and Y11. I'm just laying in that Y17 very sparingly where there would be shadows. These little chicks are very tiny, so I'm barely touching the tip of my marker to the paper for those first two darkest colors, and then blending out with the Y13 and finally the Y11. I'm just going to use the YR4 for their beaks, and now I'm going to go on to coloring the basket, and I wanted the basket to be a light kind of brown color. So I'm using E35, E53, and E51, laying in my darkest shadow here with the E35 underneath that, scalloping on the basket around our little kitty's hands and around the bow where there'd be a shadow. And then I really wanted some of that line detailing to pop out in the basket, so I did draw some darker lines on the basket as well. So now I'm going to blend that out with my E35, leaving a bit of area so I can come in with my lightest marker. Lila, Lila, can you stop eating the box, please? And now we're already moving on to our bow and our piece of ribbon, or maybe it's some fabric coming out of our basket. For that, I wanted to do a pretty pink color, so I'm using R22, R21, and R20. This color combination is really pretty for a soft pink color. I'm going to color that up really quickly and then move on to the rest of the card. I do need to do the little collar for our kitty here, and I'm going to use some aqua colors because it will match the pattern paper. So I'm using BG13, BG11, and BG10 for that. I'm coloring in the little tag on the collar just with a C1 and a C00 marker to leave that almost like a white silver. So as you can see here, I'm cutting out a panel with the little chick paper with a stitched rectangle die. I decided to use some craft cardstock for my card base today. I thought it matched perfectly with the basket. So I'm going to adhere my rectangle panel down with some liquid glue, and then I've cut out a scalloped circle with this plaid paper. Once I got that onto the panel, I felt like it got lost on that busy chick pattern, so I decided to cut out a circle from one of my infinity dies that you can just see ever so slightly popping out behind this scallop circle. So I am going to raise the scallop circle on some foam adhesive, get that adhered down, and then I will glue down our little circle panel here, and this will be the focal panel for our image. I did go ahead and color up some of the extra little chicks and the flowers off camera. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I'm using my Versafine Clair ink, and I'm stamping out the sentiment Happy Easter to my favorite Peeps, which I think is really adorable. So now that I have that stamped, I am going to trim this out with my Tim Holtz trimmer. And in order to make sure I have equal areas around the sentiment here, I'm lining up the letters with the plastic piece on that trimmer, and that will give me equal spacing on all of the sides. I decided I needed to frame that up with the same aqua paper just to allow that to stand out from our pattern paper as well. So I'm going to trim that up, and I often have a hard time trying to figure out how to make sure they're even on all sides. So this new to me trick of measuring it by that plastic piece on the trimmer really helps. I did that with all sides of the white paper for this, and you can see that there's equal of that aqua color behind my sentiment panel. So I'm going to adhere our little kitty down here with the basket of chicks onto my focal panel, and then I'm going to play around with placement of the other little elements I colored up. So I'm going to add a couple of the chicks, not chips. The chicks around our sentiment, and then I had one other little chick colored up. I thought I wanted to put it to the bottom right of the basket, but I end up putting him on top of the basket, which I thought looked really cute. And you can see me there, I'm just using my stamp block to put some pressure on the images to make sure they glue down nicely. I'm going to bring in some of the flowers as well, and I thought I would put one in our kitty's hair. So I will adhere that blue one to our kitty by the ear, and the other two I will place to the bottom right of the basket. Once I get that done, I'm going to work on a couple of finishing touches. I'm going to bring in my black and white gel pen. So the black pen that I use is the Glaze pen, and it will raise up a little bit and give some nice dimension. And my favorite white gel pen is the Sakura pen that I'm using here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of highlights to our kitty. I added a little bit of fur to either side of his face, adding some highlights to the chicks and the bow and the fabric or scalloped piecing on our little basket. And that will complete the card for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this Easter card. Sorry about the kitty noise in the background. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I hope you have fun in your craft rooms sometime soon. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.